Shabbat Shalom, family. Our selection today is No Trouble at the River.
Trouble when it's time the other side.
The oracles of the UCI. 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober, and watch unto prayer. And above all things have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man has received a gift, even so minister the same one to another as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yahshua the Mashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you're sealed until the day of redemption. That all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yahshua's sake has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim, as dear children, and walk in love, as the Mashiach also have loved us, and has given himself for us an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as becometh saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather given of thanks. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. Keep your foot when you go to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim. For Elohim is in heaven, and you upon earth, therefore let your words be few. Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 and 21. Behold, I send an angel before you, to keep you in the way, and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him, and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcame, and am sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
All right, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Which is peace on Yahweh's holy Sabbath day. Welcome to another holy convocation that Yahweh has enjoined unto us here in Stone Mountain, Georgia. We have to praise Yahweh, our Elohim, for even preserving us, that we may be, here at this time, because we know that there are some very deep things that are going on in the earth. There are some changes that are happening right before our eyes. It is, things that, my elder, if he was alive, he would be levitating off his seat right now, because these are things that he had already been talking about for 20 and 30 years, and people just couldn't see it. When he started saying things about how other nations was going to step up against America, people was like, that's just not going to happen, and that's the thing. Whenever somebody has won and has been winning for so long, the thought of a loss is just not even, people won't even process that thought. So, to believe that these so-called little small countries would run off at the mouth against, the big bad USA, that was just, it was unheard of, when he was saying these things. And you can tell there were people in the room, just as we have the same situation. there are people that will show up, and you'll see them show up for a while, but they don't really believe in the things that are happening. Just like, I watch people when my elder said, things and how other countries was going to step up and come against America. There were people who just was like, you can see their face as you sit right next to them. They're like, They didn't believe it. And now you look at what's happening. Countries that look like they're the size of the Mall of Georgia is talking against America. We're talking mall-sized countries, okay? There is definitely a change that is happening right before our eyes. The interesting part is we are still going on business as usual with other things. That's the part. It's like even, Yahshua ended up telling the Pharisees, you hypocrites. You can discern the signs in the sky, but you can't discern the signs of times. How is it that you see all of these things, but we're still going on business as usual? We're still doing the same things. We're still acting the same way. And yet it is clear it's not one country coming up. I mean, you're talking several countries openly saying, vocalizing their desire to have some kind of conflict with America. This was just unheard of just 5 to 6 years ago, much less 20, 30 years ago. If they thought it, they would slap themselves. They would chastise themselves for the thought. Well, it's not that way anymore. These are the things that let you know that we're getting closer and closer to this great act that Yahweh has to perform. And within this great act is the redemption of his true holy people, not the false holy people that America and Great Britain put in this land that they call the Middle East. And the brother sent out one of these things, said, man, the UCI has been talking about this for years. Well, we were talking about it for years because my elder talked about it for years before I started. That there's no such thing as the Middle East. It gave them a different character to give to North Africa. So because they don't want to call it Africa, they concocted this thing called the Middle East. There's no such thing. It is something that they made up so they can keep talking, and just the power of their media constantly saying Middle East, Middle East, Middle East, Middle East. Now you have people who don't even know that that's in Africa. So that's why you have some of the white supremacists that'll say, go back to your dirty crap hole Africa. You do know all those other countries that you talking about you want to go to. You do know they in Africa too. Not the Holy Land. Yeah, that's Africa. But because, see, that's the power in changing the name. There's power in that. So now the people will say all of these things, not understanding that you're dealing with the same continent. And that's just something that we have to step up what it is we're supposed to be doing, because we are supposed to be the representatives of Yahweh here on earth. So for us to understand that, Yahweh has given us families so that you will understand what it is like to be a representative of something and to have a representative for you. See, how your children act is a representative of you. How you act is a representative of Yahweh. So to make you understand what he's going through, he'll give you a couple of unruly kids and see, well, how you like it. Keep telling this boy to sit down. I know, I told you the same thing. You didn't listen. The more I told you to sit down, the more you climbed up the walls. Every time I said sit down, you got to higher up the wall. So then he give us little unruly children so that we can understand the very same thing. He gives us, he said he's married unto Israel. So he's given us marital situations and even brings forth problems in those marital situations so you can understand what you have done to him. Because we will strongly say what this person has done and what that person has done. Because what we see is in the physical. We don't see that spiritually we've done that same thing to him. So he has set that physical representation of that thing right in your living room. And you don't even recognize that he talking to you. You keep talking about, yeah, man, they need to get their stuff together. She need to do this. He need to do that. And Yahweh like, y'all need to pay attention. He not talking to he or she. He talking to us. Come, I pray you, and hear what is the word that comes forth from Yahweh. And they come unto you as a people cometh, and they sit before you as my people, and they hear your words, but they will not do them. For with their mouth they show much love, but their heart goes after their covetousness. And lo, you are unto them as a very lovely song of one that has a pleasant voice and can play well on an instrument. For they hear your words, but they do them not. My little children, let us not love in word, neither in tongue, but in deed and in truth. And hereby we know that we are of the truth and shall assure our hearts before him. Let's begin today's sermon in Ephesians chapter 5. And today's sermon is entitled, Love in Deed. Not love indeed, love in deed.
Ephesians chapter 5 and verse 22. Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands as unto the Adonai.
Now, we're going to get to some deeper things about how and what this actually means, because you'll have some people that will deal with that only on the natural level. And of course, they don't want to read no more past that verse right there, because, you have some brothers that just want to use the word to control their spouses. They're not going to walk in any of it. None of it applies to them, but they're going to bring out every scripture that they can possibly bring out to keep the woman subdued. While they, of course, can do whatever they want. They can dress however they want. The woman need to be in culture, but he can be in, a ball cap and a white tee. But she need to do this. She need to do that. He ain't got to do nothing. She can't leave him while he roam the streets at night. You don't really understand what's going on. That's why they got to stop at that verse. They can't keep reading. Go ahead.
For the husband is the head of the wife, even as the Mashiach is the head of the church, and he is the savior of the body.
So you will find some men who will magnify their power in their houses. But then when it comes to the power of the church in dealing with them, they neglect that. That's why, and I've had several situations where brothers will just outright deny their wives the opportunity to talk to the priest. Don't tell him what's going on in here. I need to be there when you talk to, so I can tell you shh. Like you don't hear when he said, and then one time priest talked to. I thought we were coming in here for counseling. I mean, we're going to counsel about some other stuff, not that stuff. Right. See, we want to throw around the top part about how the woman is supposed to submit. But understand, that's supposed to go in order. What happens on the other part of that? Go ahead.
We don't think about our work environment. When you on the clock, you're servant. So what if every day you walked in, they went, servant, obey your master. Don't forget, servant, obey your master. How long would most of us be there? Be ticked off and cussing and fussing.
Some of us would have left that day. Who the hell you calling a servant? I know good damn well you ain't said master. Who you talking to? Who you talking to? You know, we talk with our body. Hey, who you talking to? That would have been it. That'd have been our last day. Where you going? I'm going to human resources to get my last check. Our department that way, we walking that way. Right. Go ahead.
Therefore, as the church is subject unto the Mashiach, so let the wives be to their own husbands in everything.
So, therefore, as the church is subject unto the Mashiach, understand something. Yahshua not coming out of heaven to give us any instructions. He has set a governmental body in place. So understand, that governmental body then is going to implement things. So the same ones who walk around and talk about their ability and power in the house, how do you deal with the ability and power in Yahweh's house? Go ahead.
Husbands, love your wives, even as the Mashiach also loved the church and gave himself for it.
Now, you gotta be careful with this one too, because, folks will deal with that and just stick right on that part right there. Love your wife as Christ loved the church. Do you know how deep Christ loved the church? When you love something, you don't just walk around agreeing with it because it's there. See, that's something that people ain't really understood. Loving you don't mean that I'm just going to agree with everything that come out of your mouth. Loving you means sometimes I might have to turn over a few tables inside of you to make sure things follow and go the right way it's supposed to go. So we men and women got their own special way of looking at this. And we look at it from outside, not on the inside. We look that way. But you got to look both ways when you talk about the perfect law of liberty. It don't just go the way from your eyes. It also goes from somebody else's eyes toward you. Go ahead.
That he might sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word. That he might present it to himself a glorious church, not having spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but that it should be holy and without blemish. So ought men to love their wives as their own bodies. He that loves his wife loves himself.
Now, Yahweh, this entire thing is about Yahweh's relationship and Yahshua's relationship to the church itself. He's dealing on a spiritual level. He's just mentioning the natural thing because he knows that's how carnal we are. This is the only way for him to get you to understand the level of dedication that we're supposed to have. See, when you're dedicated to something, you don't have a bunch of excuses for everything. There are some that I call text-excuse. Soon as something happened, they texting you an excuse. Why they didn't let you see? I had to go see a cat about a dog. Right. Go ahead, bro.
Even in this situation, it says, so ought men to love their wives as their own bodies. And this is what we've got to start looking at. When you look at somebody and how they care for themselves, that should be a clue for you to stay the hell away. Because if I'm going to put poison in my system constantly, what would I do for you? If I'm out there binging on drugs or whatever, I don't care about myself. So what do you think is going to happen to you in the long run? And whatever else you produce in that relationship.
What's funny is when the folks be amazed when they get with a drug addict or a drunkard and then he slap them upside the head. I can't believe he hit me. Why? You saw how he took care of himself?
Right.
Why the hell you didn't think he was going to take care of you the same way? He damn near killed himself sucking down that poison. He going to damn near kill you too. Now you surprised. I can't believe he choked me like that. Why? Why can't you believe he choked himself? Hell, he been coughing. He choked his damn self. Of course he gonna choke you. Why art thou confused, O woman? Go ahead, bro.
For no man ever yet hated his own flesh, but nourishes and cherishes it, even as the Adonai the church. For we are members of his body, of his flesh, and of his bones. For this cause shall a man leave his father and mother, and shall be joined unto his wife, and they two shall be one flesh. This is a great mystery, but I speak concerning the Mashiach and the church.
The entire statement is about the church. And we take bits and pieces of that and deal with the entire part is about the church. He's only using the natural carnal things because that is as far as our mind can go at times. But that ain't what he's really dealing with. He's dealing with something much greater than that. So as men, what kind of subjection do we allow for ourselves when it comes down to the things concerning the church? Well, that's what you're going to get when you go home. Because Yahweh going to look. No. I seen every time to clean up how you got the hell on. So when you go to the house, I'm going to have your woman treat you exactly that way. And you can't figure out, I don't know what's wrong with her. So I'll be reading this scripture to her. Right. 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 I can tell you what's wrong with her. You just ain't going to want to hear what I got to say. But I'm going to tell you, I can tell you what's wrong with her. What's wrong with her? What's wrong with you? See? As that is your wife, you are Yahweh's wife. So then he watches how his wife act to him, and then that's how he makes sure your wife act to you. And then he just got to give you a little wake-up call. Just so you understand the situation. It's hard being a representative of Yahweh. The devil will come in at any time and shake some things up. And the old you will react one way. You got to make sure that the devil don't pull in the old you. Because the old you ain't that far away. Every time you go somewhere, there's two yous. All right? Sometimes you got to tell people, don't sit there. Why? Because I'm sitting there. I thought you was driving. I am driving. The old me is right there. And saying he is at hand. Because in this case I had to go off on a knuckle, I need him. Because he does it like no other. You understand what I'm saying to you? I need him close at hand. I don't need him sitting in the same seat with me, but I need him nearby. Yeah, be careful. Because the adversary will do what he got to do to draw that old you, because he know he ain't far. He ain't far behind at all. Go ahead, brother. Did you finish that?
Nevertheless, let every one of you in particular so love his wife, even as himself. And the wife see that she reverence her husband.
Reverence. There's a certain amount of respect and honor that's included in reverence. See? So when we'll deal with one part and not the other, we'll definitely deal with one. You love your wife as you love yourself. All right. As long as I'm getting the reverence that I'm supposed to be getting. Uh-oh. Now we're talking about the other side. And the same can be said the other way. You can't walk around and tell a woman how she need to submit to you, but she see you ain't submitting to nothing. Yahweh said, remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. When the last time we been there? Well, I worship in spirit. But I want you to wash these dishes in the flesh. Right. Right. She gonna wash them dishes in spirit too. They're gonna be clean in my mind. Right. Right. Let's go to John chapter 2. Yohanan chapter 2, and let's read verses 13 through 17.
And Yehudi's Passover was at hand, and Yahshua went up to Jerusalem. And found in the temple those that sold oxen and sheep and doves, and the changers of money sitting.
So he found these things in Yahweh's house. Go ahead.
And when he had made a scourge of small cords, he drove them all out of the temple, and the sheep and the oxen, and poured out the changers' money, and overthrew the table.
Right. His love was so strong that sometimes he didn't sit there and read poems to him. See, this is what we think love is supposed to look like. A bunch of soft speaking and a whole lot of wee poo poo. Candlelight dinners. Sometimes love look like a table getting flipped over. Go ahead.
And said unto them that sold doves, take these things hence. Make not my father's house an house of merchandise.
Now, it says he took made a scourge of small cords. But I tell you what, it didn't say he hit nobody though. Let me go ahead and point that out for those that like to get mad and put their hands on things. Those that like to get to a situation where then they want to terrorize the very people that they say they love. He ain't put his hands on nobody. But didn't nobody put their hands on him either. Let me go ahead and put that out there. Because, now come on, man. You got to go all the way now. Come on. We're going to keep this 1,000, right? He said, you don't hit no woman. Did you hear him? Well, yeah. Well, there it is. There it is. Fat meat greasy. Fat meat greasy. You can't tell me what nobody ain't supposed to do while you doing it. Did you carry yourself like a woman? Oh, no, okay, so you acted like a man. Okay. And then he treated you like a man. Okay, but then you mad like a woman. Hold on. Everybody got to stay in their lane. If you want everybody to stay in the lane that they supposed to be in, I'm going to need you to stay in your lane too. You get angry, be angry like a woman. Thereby, you shall be treated like a woman. But when you decide that you're going to be angry, but then you're going to turn into a man, please don't be angry if you push somebody to treat you as such. Keep your hands in your pocket. Go ahead.
And his disciples remembered that it was written, the zeal of your house has eaten me up.
The zeal of your house. His zeal, his love, his affection for the house was so strong that he was willing to turn over tables and throw some people out of the house. See, that's what happened when you love a house. That sometimes you got to throw some people out. There's some people y'all don't see here, right? That was the zeal of Yahweh's house. It has eaten me up. There's some that had to go. Why? Because you got to protect the rest of the individuals in the house. Do you let the whole house fall? So to preserve the house, some have to get out of the house. This is what he's doing. He's swinging them cords. Anybody got sense enough? No. Keep moving. Keep moving. You won't get hit, do you? All right. You see it swinging. You see it swinging, don't you? All right. And he get to that money table, turn that money table over. Now, to somebody that just walking by, this is why I ain't so quick to jump in other people's situation. Now, what if you were just walking down the street and you saw Yahshua? Look at that crazy man in there swinging them cords and turning over the tables. Oh, my God, he's so violent. I don't know the situation between him and his wife. I don't know what she had done. Maybe the mailman delivered more than the mail. That's not my business. You understand what I'm saying to you? Maybe the UPS truck pulled off, but there wasn't no package. I don't know. Now, what happened if I jump in that situation and now some things done transpired and then nobody tell me the rest of the story? See, you have to look at how some things may look. What does that look like if you don't know Yahshua? If you don't know about the zeal that he has for the house? What does that look like? look like a violent heretic. What is the reason one is doing something? That is a very, very important part of every story. Don't just come tell me what somebody did to you. Hit the rewind button. Tell me what you did before they did that. Don't just start at the point, well, she did this and he did that. Okay. Go a little now. I don't want to hear about this happened Tuesday, right? Well, let's start talking from Sunday. What? Yeah, because that's how long some of the stuff started. They be like a week before, and people leave out the week before. You know, I had wrote a carved punk in his car, on the side. What? And then I flat the tires. And then Wednesday I was just sitting there reading Psalms. Oh, see, that's where I get the story from, the Wednesday Psalm reading. But what has been left off is the punk carved in the side of his paint. That was left off. The stabbing of them $400 per tires, that was left off. I get the story where I was just reading the Psalms and I was humming my favorite one. And then he came in here like an animal. I imagine so, because hell, he had to walk since you done flat his tire. So he was mega pissed off by the time he got there. Yahweh knows about those intentions. See, and those are the things that we try to leave out of the scenario because we don't want to expose that part of ourselves. But understand, you ain't hiding them from Yahweh. Go ahead, brother. Did we finish that?
Yes.
I want you to read the definition of zeal.
Zeal from G2205, zealous. From G2204, properly heat, that is, figuratively, zeal, in a favorable sense, ardor, in an unfavorable one, jealousy.
Wait a minute. Now we're starting to hear some words that we have heard before. Jealousy. Go ahead.
As of a husband.
As of a husband. So then when you look at this situation of how Yahshua goes off in the church, it is because of his zeal. He's doing this. You are supposed to be the wife of my father. Look at how you acting. Go ahead.
Figuratively of God, or an enemy, malice, emulation, envy, envying, fervent mind, indignation, jealousy, zeal.
And that jealousy part is a very, very interesting portion of that when you examine how things are taking place. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 16. So when you read that and take that into context about loving your wife as Christ loved the church, understand there's some people that if they just focus in on the one point that Yahshua is turning over tables, that don't look like love. But what is his intent? To clean the house. That's his intent. This ain't supposed to be done in the house. We understand what the house rules are. Why is this here? And you notice, if you pay attention, it was available during the time of Passover when people are supposed to be having offerings, so they are convenient. It ain't no different than, hey, the braid game is a certain day, then everybody gonna come and the vendors come to sell the stuff that they have during the time of that event. So they say, all right, Passover is here. We gonna have our, Passover event sale. They probably got little stuffed lambs, Yeah, all kind of trinkets they can make money off of. Yahshua didn't appreciate it. And he wasn't asking. He wasn't negotiating. He wouldn't have took care of that business. Oh, that was love. And that was love indeed. Not love in, oh, Yahweh, oh, how I praise thee. Oh, how I love thee. Oh, Abba Father, thou art magnificent. Oh, you are so beautiful. You are more than a conqueror. I am more than a conqueror through your holy anointing that protects me. Oh, blah, 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 blah. No, it was action. I see this, and I'm about to deal with this. All that love talk, they ain't nothing but pillow talk. Pillow talk don't mean nothing when you get off the pillow. Pillow talk stay exactly where it on the pillow. Go ahead, brother.
You got to think about it. Like you said, this is during Passover. So you got 3 things going on. And this is the time when you're going to get the most Israelites all in one place. So, hey, it's a genius plan to make as much money as you can.
You got that right. And it's also a way to slip something in because everybody not watching, per se. The people who are working, they're busy. They're doing things. Now, somebody coming to make money can do that where the people would be paying more attention, but they over here working. They over here doing such and such. That's why they didn't notice. Hey, what's going on over here? See? So you got several other things that allow things to get further. Like, how they even get in there? With the tables and set up the money. How they even get in there? There's a whole lot of other stuff going on. So you have, it's the perfect time. And when people are busy with something, that's the distraction that the adversary throws. Even the right kind of distraction is still a distraction. I'm distracted with what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to be doing this. I'm setting up for this. We got this happening. We got this happening. And right at the time when you're doing all of that, preparing for the holy day, here come Lucifer. You know, he's not really watching that back door. You know, you can just walk right on in. He ain't really watching that back door. Normally there's somebody at the back door. But he busy today. Right. Go ahead.
Ezekiel chapter 16 and verse 1. Again the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, cause Jerusalem to know her abominations, and say, Thus says the Adonai, unto Jerusalem, your birth and your nativity is of the land of Canaan. Your father was an Amorite, and your mother an Hittite. And as for your nativity, in the day you was born, your navel was not cut, neither was you washed in water to supple you. You was not salted at all, nor swaddled at all.
So then you have Yahweh at a situation where he is now dealing with his spouse. He is now having to remind his spouse how they came to be. Because, you know, we kind of forget sometimes, you know, when we sit on the high seat, how we got to the high seat. What he's saying is, you wasn't all that when I found you now. See, when I got you out the projects and you was wearing, you know what I'm saying, them pro kids, I'm the one that took you to the nail shop and got you some Jordans. I did that. This ain't how you keep thinking you showed up like this. You ain't show up like this. Go ahead.
None I pitied you, to do any of these unto you, to have compassion upon you, but you was cast out in the open field, to the loathing of your person, in the day that you was born. And when I passed by you, and saw you polluted in your own blood, I said unto you, when you was polluted in your blood, live. Yes, I said unto you, when you was in your blood, live.
Right. Yahweh is reminding Israel, hold on. You've gotten a little bit beside yourself. Let's go back and have a conversation about the past so that we can understand how you got here. Because you just think you was somehow born in the royalty. No, you wasn't. Go ahead.
I have caused you to multiply as the bud of the field, and you have increased and waxen great, and you are come to excellent ornaments. Your breasts are fashioned, and your hair is grown, whereas you was naked and bare.
And you know, hey, once somebody start filling out and the hair start coming, oh, I'm all that now, baby. And what come after that?
You know, now I'm negotiating where I should even be with you anymore. Because you know what? I realized something. I looked at myself and I said, self, damn, you look good.
Right. Go ahead.
Now when I passed by you and looked upon you, behold, your time was the time of love. And I spread my skirt over you and covered your nakedness.
Right. I covered your nakedness. Go ahead.
Yes, I swear unto you and entered into a covenant with you, says the Adonai Elohim, and you became mine.
Right. You became mine when you wasn't all that. Go ahead.
Then washed I you with water. Yes, I thoroughly washed away your blood from you, and I anointed you with oil. I clothed you also with broidered work, and shod you with badger skin, and I girded you about with fine linen, and I covered you with silk.
And if you pay attention, he is dealing directly with the men right now. Okay? See, some people get stuck in that natural part that you don't see when Yahweh change spiritual gears. I clothe you with broidered work. This is the stuff that the priests wear. Mm-hmm. I shod you with badger skin. Now he's talking about the covering, dealing with the tabernacle. Mm-hmm. All right? I girded you about with fine linen. That's on the tabernacle and on the men. Okay? And I covered you with silk. I decked you with ornaments. I put bracelets upon your hand and a chain on your neck. The one thing they would do with the priest is give them that gold chain. To this day, we still desire a gold chain constantly. But why not? You're supposed to be a kingdom of priests. Go ahead.
And I put a jewel on your forehead.
Understand. On the high priest, he's got a head covering with a jewel right on it. See, we keep picturing the woman. See? So we stuck there at the natural part. You're going to have to be able to go naturally and spiritually at the same time. And what we do, we turn off one so we can turn on the other. No, you got to deal with these as parallel streets. And when you deal with them as parallel streets, you can see both streets in front of you. I see the natural and I see the spiritual. And I'm looking at both of them at the same time. Man, you got two eyes. You ain't got to look in one direction. I can look forward and still see what's left and right. Now, I might not see everything he's doing, but I know that dude is moving. I know to get myself ready. What the hell you doing over there, boy? Go ahead.
And earrings in your ears, and a beautiful crown upon your head. Thus was you decked with gold and silver. Your raiment was of fine linen and silk and broidered work. You did eat fine flour and honey and oil, and you was waxed exceeding beautiful, and you did prosper into a kingdom.
Right. You did eat fine flour and honey and oil, and you was exceeding beautiful, and you did prosper into a kingdom. Now, because Yahweh has put his anointing upon us, now we've grown and blossomed into some things. Now we're ready to renegotiate the covenant. Because, now we fine.
When I agreed to go with you before, I was a little overweight. But I've been working out now. And I've been looking at my hair, it's luxurious. And I'm sitting right in all these special places. I think it's time to renegotiate this contract. I want more.
Go ahead.
And your renown went forth among the heathen for your beauty. For it was perfect.
And that ain't nothing get you into more trouble than when other people start telling you how beautiful you are. Oh, you can go ahead and plan on it. Schedule this problem right here. Go ahead.
For it was perfect through your comeliness.
Through my comeliness, through your comeliness, through my comeliness. I put that upon you. Go ahead.
For it was perfect through my comeliness, which I had put upon you, says the Adonai Yah. But you did trust in your own beauty, and played the harlot because of your renown, and poured out your fornications on everyone that passed by. His it was.
Now, the stranger gets more attention than the married husband. Because now there's attention being received that now they were not receiving that attention before. See, this is what happened to us. We get a job, we start making money. Yahweh blessed us with one car, but we got enough money. Now we're ready to get another car. But Yahweh like, no, hold on now. I gave you the money for the car that you wanted. Now I'm gonna need you to fix some other things. I mean, this broke in your house, that right there broke. How about let's fix some of this other stuff instead of getting you a nice sports car that can't nobody drive but you? Matter of fact, does anybody in this house drive a stick other than you? So then this is just your car. This ain't no family car. This is your car. How about let's fix some of the broken stuff instead of getting you a brand new car off the lot? Go ahead.
You know, something, that new attention is something else too, boy, because you forget that this new attention that you're getting was the same new attention you got when you started the other relationship.
But this new attention. See, the other attention was just new. This is new. See, this that new. That new always get you in trouble. Go ahead, bro.
And of your garments you did take, and decked your high places with diverse colors, and played the harlot thereupon. The like things shall not come, neither shall it be so.
And we won't even consider that if Yahweh has blessed us with one thing, and we off at another car dealership, we don't consider that we playing the harlot. Man, I gave you what you asked me for. Now you're renegotiating the contract. Why are you over here? Do the car still work that I gave you? Didn't you ask me for this? Why in the hell are you at this dealership? And who gonna fix that broken down fence in the back of your yard? Don't you think you ought to fix that damn fence? Instead of being in that car dealership and your car running? Go ahead, bro.
You have also taken my fair jewels of my gold and of my silver, which I had given you, and made to yourself images of men, and did commit whoredom with them.
Right. When you consider, how did Israel make the golden calf coming out of Egypt? He asked them, borrow of the Egyptian. That was his power that he put upon us. Then we took the gold, then went out there and made a image to another god from the money that we got from Yahweh's comeliness. We chips off the old block. Go ahead.
And tooketh your broidered garments and covered them.
You covered them. Go ahead.
And you have set mine oil and my incense before them. My meat also which I gave you, fine flour and oil and honey, wherewith I fed you, you have even set it before them for a sweet savor. And thus it was, says the Adonai Yah. Moreover, you have taken my sons and my daughters.
Understand something. Yahweh is explaining his what we are witnessing here is Yahweh's therapy between him and his wife, which is something that, you know, men be like, I'm too manly to go to therapy. I ain't having no. This is why most brothers have problems. I ain't gonna go to no therapy, counsel, or that. We in the middle of Yahweh's counseling between him and his wife. Go ahead.
Whom you have borne unto me. And
So now he telling you, now you playing with my kids. Me and you having some problems, and now these problems are flowing down to my children. Somehow we think we're immune to this. Why? We're reading his therapy session right here. Go ahead.
And these have you sacrificed unto them to be devoured. Is this of your whoredoms a small matter?
Right. Sacrificing the kids. When people then turn around, oh, I'm in a new relationship. Now your kids are around some people that you don't know from Adam Housecat. Now you done sacrificed them kids just that quick. Oh, Yahweh explaining the very things that we go through right here. But he went through them first. That's why we have to go through them now. So that you understand what you have done to him. Because some of us, we ain't never going to understand. We see our way. We don't see what we've done to somebody else, but we damn sure see what somebody done to us. We don't have no problem reciting that. We can recite that in our sleep. We can recite it backwards. I couldn't even walk. I just get to walk. But what the hell was that?
Oh, what he did was this.
What, did you just say that backwards? Oh, yeah. We know every aspect of that. Let it be our turn to deal with what we've done to somebody else. All of a sudden, it becomes sketchy. Right. Go ahead.
You know, what we don't consider, though, as men in this walk, if you do have children in a relationship where there's a separation and you're not in the same household, if you're not being hindered from raising your child in the culture, man, you're still being held accountable.
Of course. You've been held accountable anyway. I don't care what. There ain't no excuse, you know, no way, shape, fashion, or form. Now, if you put it in there and then the other spouse take it out, then that is what it is. You did your job to put it in there. But if you don't do nothing, damn Skippy, you being held accountable. He says, when you are amongst your children and your children ask you, by what means have you done this? Then it's your job to explain it. I don't care if they go, the other spouse take every word you say out, you put it right back in. Every time they take it out, you put it in. Go ahead.
That you have slain my children and delivered them to cause them to pass through the fire for them. And in all your abominations and your whoredoms, you have not remembered the days of your youth.
Ain't that us? Yeah, we got that strange memory. See, you don't remember the days of your youth. He said, you don't remember when you wasn't all that. See, now we got to have a conversation about the past, because you don't remember when you wasn't all that. This is why it's hard for a coach to coach his son, because he don't remember when he wasn't that fast. He don't remember when his coordination wasn't that good. See, the coach think he was born catching touchdowns. See, it's going to take somebody else to remember, boy, when you were young, you couldn't catch a cold. We put you outside with no clothes on. You came in, you ain't have a cough. You couldn't catch nothing. But the coach think he was wonderful. He was doing all kind of that's in your mind. You done forgot your youth. They gave you the nickname Wrong Way George because you ran the wrong way. You scored a touchdown for the other team. But you done forgot that. So now you coach your son harshly, because you coaching him based on your ability now. And you think that he should be able to do that because you can do that now. But you got to pause. Remember when you was the little afflicted kid, when you were 10, when you had that little skinny body and the big old stomach, and you know, remember your old afflicted self. Before you start working out, remember that self. That's the little boy you looking at. Stop trying to make him Michael Jordan, and he ain't that. He the afflicted that you was at 10. And if you don't remember, maybe you need to go talk to some aunties and ask them, can you tell me about my afflicted 10-year-old self?
Yes, I can.
Oh, they gonna love to tell you about your afflicted. Oh, you want to see some joy in somebody else's eyes? Go and ask them to tell you about your afflicted 10-year-old self. Oh my God,
They're gonna be like, sit down, child. Like, I've been waiting to have this conversation with you. Oh my God, you were so funny looking.
Then you're gonna be surprised they've been holding pictures. I've been holding this. Where the hell you get that picture from?
I was just hoping we would have this conversation one day. Do you see how ugly you are?
What? Who prepares for a conversation like this? Oh, but the conversation's gonna be good for you. It's gonna be good for you. Go ahead.
You know, when you look at verse 22, if we realistic, like you're saying, this is a real conversation, and some of us had these real conversations. Because although he's saying of your youth, on both sides, men and women have had to put the significant other in check. Hey, do you remember where this relationship started from? Mm-hmm. The youth of the relationship. Do you remember that?
Right.
I mean, sometimes we get beside ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And these conversations have to happen.
Well, if Yahweh got to have them, I really don't feel that bad if I have to have them. This is the creator of heaven and earth and all that in them is. And here he is having this conversation. You have forgotten your youth? So who are you? Are you greater than your master? Go ahead.
When you was naked and bare and was polluted in your blood, and it came to pass after all your wickedness, woe, woe unto you, says the Adonai Elohim, that you have also built unto you an eminent place, and have made you an high place in every street.
Now wait a minute. Now some of us would be like, nakedness. I mean, we wouldn't really, we didn't have to deal with nakedness. Pause for a second. When your woman used to come out of the house in that cat suit, and ain't you the one that bought the cat suit? All right, well, you let her out of her nakedness. When you bought those clothes that showed every curve of her body, and then y'all walk through the mall and you just walk behind her just so you can see everybody looking at her. Yeah, that's mine. Do it, girl. Do it. Right. You sent her out of her nakedness. Go ahead.
You have built your high place at every head of the way, and has made your beauty to be abhorred, and have opened your feet to everyone that passed by, and multiplied your whoredoms.
I mean, Yahweh gets pretty vocal with this thing, all right? He gets pretty vocal. So if you're easily offended, Yahweh's word ain't the place for you. Go ahead.
You have also committed fornication with the Egyptians, your neighbors, great of flesh, and have increased your whoredoms to provoke me to anger.
Now understand now, Yahweh is dealing with this. He's dealing with Israel, the nation as a whole. So if your mind is still stuck on a situation of dealing with a man and a woman or a woman and not dealing with both at the same time, then you're really not catching the significance of this writing. Go ahead.
Brother, even up to this day, we still can't let Egypt go. Egyptologists and the study, and we were kings and we were queens.
Oh, man. I looked at something and, I guess a brother was trying to greet everybody, and he was like, Assalamu alaikum, shalom, hotep. And I was like, I'm ready to get the hell out of here by the time you get through greeting everybody. It just did every greeting you can ever, and I can't even tell you what hotep mean, but I know they was greeting the Egyptian, and I'm just like, man, but we into everything. But no, we can't let Egypt go, because we want to keep dealing with this thing where we were kings and queens. That's our that gives us a claim to fame, and this whole twisted mindset that because these people were black, that has something to do with us. You know how many different ethnicities of black people it is? That's just like saying, well, Russia white and America white, they the same. Okay, keep thinking that. Keep thinking that. Go ahead.
Verse 27. Behold, therefore I have stretched out my hand over you, and have diminished your ordinary food, and delivered you unto the will of them that hate you.
Now, if you don't see how a brother had to deal in the situation through this, I don't know what you're looking at. He said, you have refused to follow instruction. Then Yahweh has diminished the ordinary food. You just open the refrigerator, and stuff that used to be in there just ain't in there no more. Go ahead.
The will of them that hate you, the daughters of the Philistines, which are ashamed of your lewd way. You have played the whore also with the Assyrians, because you was unsatiable.
Unsatiable, meaning you cannot be satisfied. It doesn't matter what you got. You were never going to stop. You were going to keep pushing. Go ahead.
Yes, you have played the harlot with them, and yet could not be satisfied. You have moreover multiplied your fornication in the land of Canaan unto Chaldea, and yet you was not satisfied herewith. How weak is your heart, says the Adonai Yah, seeing you doest all these things, the work of an imperious, whorish woman, in that you build your eminent place in the head of every way, and make it your high place in every street, and have not been as an harlot, in that use scorneth hire, but as a wife that commits adultery, which takes strangers instead of her husband.
He says, you have not been not like a harlot, because a harlot gets paid. You're not even doing harlotry right. But you are more like a wife that commits adultery, which gives all her special gifts to other people and not her husband. Go ahead.
They give gifts to all whores, but you give your gifts to all your lovers, and hire them, that they may come on to you on every side for your whoredom. And the contrary is in you from other women in your whoredoms, whereas none follows you to commit whoredom, and in that you give a reward, and no reward is given unto you. Therefore you're contrary. Wherefore, O harlot, hear the word of Yah. Thus says the Adonai Yah, because your filthiness was poured out, and your nakedness discovered through your whoredoms with your lovers, and with all the idols of your abominations, and by the blood of your children, which you did give unto them.
Hold on, man. I need you to read verse 35 again.
Wherefore, O harlot,
What he just call your wife? What you call me? Okay, brother, read.
verse 37, behold, therefore I will gather all your lovers with whom you have taken pleasure, and all them that you have loved, with all them that you have hated. I will even gather them round about against you, and will discover your nakedness unto them, that they may see all your nakedness.
Right, Yahweh said you want to be naked with them. I'm going to make you naked in front of all of them. Go ahead.
And I will judge you, as women that break wedlock and shed blood are judged, and I will give you blood and fury and jealousy. And I'll also give you into their hand, and they shall throw down your eminent place, and shall break down your high places. They shall strip you also of your clothes, and shall take your fair jewels, and leave you naked and bare.
Right. They have a prison system that was specifically built for us. And when you get there, they take all your jewels off and strip you naked. Go ahead.
They also shall bring up a company against you, and they shall stone you with stones, and thrust you through with their swords. And they shall burn your houses with fire, and execute judgments upon you in the sight of many women. And I will cause you to cease from playing the harlot, and you also shall give no hire any more. So will I make my fury toward you to rest, and my jealousy shall depart from you, and I'll be quiet, and will be no more angry.
So there's two things that you get within this situation. You get Yahweh's anger and his jealousy, all in the same verse. Go ahead.
Because you have not remembered the days of your youth.
Because you don't remember how you got here. Because you think you just appeared to be this royal thing. You have forgotten your path. And see, when you've forgotten your path, you look at other people when they are in their path.
And you look at them. Can't believe that.
Wait a minute. Hold. Did you forget when you was doing the same thing? I think you don't forgot when you was doing the thing. You think you just appeared in this regal point. This ain't how you got here. You did the same thing. Go ahead.
But have fretted me in all these things. Behold, therefore, I also will recompense your way upon your head, says the Adonai Yah. And you shall not commit this lewdness above all your abominations. Behold, everyone that uses proverbs shall use this proverb against you, saying, as is the mother, so is her daughter. You are your mother's daughter, that loatheth her husband and her children, and you are the sister of your sisters, which loathe their husbands and their children. Your mother was an Hittite, and your father an Amorite.
Now see, now it's just getting harsh. But what he's doing is letting you know how, understand, Israel was born out of other nations. You had to go and move these people. Did you forget that? Did you forget that I made a way for you? Did you forget that? Go ahead.
And your elder sister is Samaria, she and her daughters that dwell at your left hand. And your younger sister that dwells at your right hand is Sodom and her daughters. Yet have you not walked after their ways, nor done after their abominations. But, as if that were a very little thing, you was corrupted more than they in all your ways.
Right. You were corrupted even more than them. The very ones you look down upon, you were more corrupt than them. But you know us, we only deal with the things that we know we done got caught in.
Well, I ain't that foul. I mean, not the stuff that you know about.
Right. But Yahweh know all things. Go ahead.
As I live, says the Adonai Yah, Sodom your sister has not done, she nor her daughters, as you have done, you and your daughters. Behold, this was the lawlessness of your sister Sodom. Pride, fullness of bread, and abundance of idleness was in her and in her daughters.
Check that out. Behold, this was the lawlessness of your sister Sodom. Pride, fullness of bread, and abundance of idleness. We don't even consider that's a recipe for destruction. Pride, you got plenty to eat and nothing to do. Here come the mess. This is when folk come up with grandiose ideas. What happened? Pride, they got plenty of bread, and they idle. So now here come the grandiose ideas. Let's go do this. Go ahead.
Neither did she strengthen the hand of the poor and needy. And they were haughty and committed abomination before me. Therefore I took them away as I saw good. Neither has Samaria committed half of your sins, but you have multiplied your abominations more than they, and have justified your sisters in all your abominations which you have done. You also, which has judged your sisters, bear your own shame for your sins that you have committed more abominable than they. They are more righteous than you. Yes, be you confounded also, and bear your shame, in that you have justified your sisters.
Right. You also, which have judged your sisters, bear your own shame for your sins, that you have committed more abominable things than they. But see, Yahweh is the one who knows that. Go ahead.
When I shall bring again their captivity, the captivity of Sodom and her daughters, and the captivity of Samaria and her daughters, then will I bring again the captivity of your captives in the midst of them, that you may bear your own shame and may be confounded in all that you have done, in that you are at comfort unto them. When your sisters, Sodom and her daughters, shall return to their former estate, and Samaria and her daughters shall return to their former estate, then you and your daughters shall return to your former estate.
And you notice that he's dealing with, in this situation, he's talking to multiple entities. He's going to have order in the house. He don't care how many people he got to deal with. Go ahead.
For your system Sodom was not mentioned by your mouth in the day of your pride, before your wickedness was discovered, as at the time of your reproach of the daughters of Syria, and all that are round about her, the daughters of the Philistines, which despise you round about. You have borne your lewdness and your abominations, says Yahweh. For thus says the Adonai Yah, I will even deal with you as you have done.
I will deal with you as you have done. You need to let that marinate. Go ahead.
Which has despised the oath in breaking the covenant.
All right. So you have despised the oath in breaking the covenant, and I'm going to deal with you as you have done. Let that sit there. Go ahead.
Nevertheless, I will remember my covenant with you in the days of your youth, and I'll establish unto you an everlasting covenant.
This is after I take care of this business, though. You see? Go ahead.
Then you shall remember your ways and be ashamed when you shall receive your sisters, your elder and your younger, and I'll give them unto you for daughters, but not by your covenant. And I'll establish my covenant with you, and you shall know that I am Yahweh.
So now he's reestablishing the covenant. But after what? He's done all of the things to show her what she has done, how she has acted. Now he restores the covenant. This is why some people can't restore things in their house, because they have already moved to the restoration part, but they haven't gotten to the humbling situation where the person realizes how they came to be. Go ahead.
That you may remember and be confounded, and never open your mouth anymore because of your shame.
Never open your mouth anymore. Well, he had to do some stuff if he's going to do that. See all these Israelite pep rallies that we trying to hold? Yahweh said, you obviously don't remember how you came to be. Go ahead.
When I'm pacified toward you for all that you have done, says the Adonai Yah.
All right. Let's go to Hosea. And that's chapter 3. Hosea chapter 3.
Uh, 9:23.
Appreciate it. Hosea chapter 3, and we're going to read verses 1 through 5.
Then said Yahweh unto me, Go yet, love a woman beloved of her friend, yet an adulteress, according to the love of Yahweh toward the children of Israel, who look to other gods and love flagons of wine.
All right, so you have to examine this situation here. Then said Yahweh unto me, Go yet, love a woman beloved of her friend, yet an adulteress. He's giving him instructions to go marry an harlot. Now, is he giving him the instructions to marry a harlot because of something he has done? No. Keep reading. According to the love of Yahweh toward the children of Israel. What he is being made to do is in representation of what Yahweh has had to suffer with the children of Israel. Now, how many times will we look at a situation, we look at him, I thought he was supposed to be a prophet.
Surely he wouldn't marry that woman because he knows what we have done to her.
This wasn't about him. This was about everybody else. Go ahead.
So I bought her to me for 15 pieces of silver, and for an omer of barley, and an half omer of barley. And I said unto her, You shall abide for me many days. You shall not play the harlot.
Now he's got to, it says, I bought her to me, right? Now he's got to give the stipulations of the covenant, just in case, you don't understand. You shall abide for me, you understand? I know what you might be accustomed to, but understand what's happening here from this point on. Go ahead.
And you shall not be for another man.
Just in case you forgot how it's supposed to work. Go ahead.
So will I also be for you. For the children of Israel shall abide many days without a king, and without a prince, and without a sacrifice, and without an image, and without an ephod, and without a teraphim. Afterward shall the children of Israel return, and seek Yahweh their El, and Dawid their king, and shall fear Yahweh and his goodness in the latter days.
Right. And we have to remember what Yahweh had said in Jeremiah 3. They say, if a man put away his wife and she go from him and become another man's, shall he return unto her again? Shall not that land be greatly polluted? That is according to the law. Then he goes spiritually and goes over on top of the law. But you have played the harlot with many lovers, and yet return you unto me. So he takes the law, and if you just paying attention to the first part of the statement, you don't see how he magnifies the law right at the end. So brothers say, well, I can't even deal with her no more because that land has been greatly polluted. Yeah, we say, you've been polluted. I still let you come in my sanctuary. And you had just got through worshiping another God before you came in there. You didn't even clean yourself before you came in. You came right from worshiping with them other people, and you came right in here, dripping with your deceivings. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 5. But see, that's where it talks about how mercy then is allowed to go over on top of the law if we deal with it right. Because that was law. He said, they say. What are you talking about? He's talking about law. If a man hands his wife a bill of divorcement and send her out of the house, if her and her other husband, her new husband, don't get along, he shall not return unto that land. For that land has been greatly polluted. Why? Because somebody else has been planting in it. But then he goes right over on top of the law. But you've gone to many lovers. You didn't just go to one. You ain't planting one field. You planted in many fields and come right back up to me. Oh, Yahweh. Oh. Crying all over the altar. Right. Jeremiah chapter 5, and let's start at verse 1.
Run you to and fro through the streets of Jerusalem, and see now, and know, and seek in the broad places thereof, if you can find a man, if there be any that execute judgment, that seeks the truth, and I will pardon it. And though they say, Yahweh lives, surely they swear falsely. O Yahweh, are not your eyes upon the truth? You have stricken them, but they have not grieved. You have consumed them, but they have refused to receive correction. They have made their faces harder than a rock. They have refused to return.
Right. This is what happens when we refuse to receive correction. You only make it to where he has to turn up the correction. Go ahead.
Therefore I said, surely these are poor, they are foolish, for they know not the way of Yahweh, nor the judgment of their Elohim. I will get me on to the great men, and will speak unto them, for they have known the way of Yahweh, and the judgment of their El. But these have altogether broken the yoke, and burst the bonds. Wherefore a lion out of the forest shall slay them, and a wolf of the evening shall spoil them. A leopard shall watch over their cities. Every one that goes out thence shall be torn in pieces, because their transgressions are many, and their backslidings are increased. How shall I pardon you for this? Your children have forsaken me.
Your children have forsaken me because you have forsaken me. The children are going to they're going to magnify what they see you do. So when the children see that you don't abide by anything, they're going to abide by even less than that. Go ahead.
And sworn by them that are no gods. When I had fed them to the full, they then committed adultery.
Once again, we find the same setup. When I have fed them to the full. This is why Yahweh said, I got to remind you from whence you came. I need to remind you how you got here. Go ahead.
And assemble themselves by troops in the harlots' houses.
Don't we? Can't even find a place to sit in one of them whorehouses that they call churches. And why is it called a harlot house or whorehouse? Every god is worshipped in that place. Rituals to the two-headed god Janus, the Christmas, Easter, the fertility god, all of those gods are worshipped in that house. That's a harlot house. What happened when you go to a whorehouse? There are many rooms. You can have fun in many rooms. Just pick a room where you gonna have you some fun. Right. You go in there and they got many rooms. So you want to do Easter, you want to do Christmas, you want to do two-headed god Janus. Which one? Because we got them in different rooms. Which one of the rooms you want to go to? Right. Go ahead.
They were as fed horses in the morning. Everyone neighed after his neighbor's wife. Shall I not visit for these things, says Yahweh, And shall not my soul be avenged on such a nation as this?
Right. So when you don't cut off evil from Israel, you then make the whole nation accountable. He said, should I not judge for this? Go ahead.
Go you up upon her walls and destroy, but make not a full end. Take away her battlements, for they are not Yahweh's. For the house of Israel and the house of Yehudah have dealt very treacherously against me, says Yahweh. They have belied Yahweh, and said, it is not he. Neither shall evil come upon us, neither shall we see sword nor famine. And the prophets shall become wind, and the word is not in them. Thus shall it be done unto them. Wherefore thus says the Adonai Elohim of hosts, because you speak this word, behold, I will make my words in your mouth fire, and this people wood, and it shall devour them. Lo, I'll bring a nation upon you from far. O house of Israel, says Yahweh, it is a mighty nation, it is an ancient nation, a nation whose language you knoweth not, neither understand what they say.
Right. And you have to consider that all of these things that ended up coming upon us, it is because Yahweh gave us all these warnings about how we were supposed to deal with things, but we being haughty in our own relationship with Yahweh, that we just believe he ain't gonna get rid of us. He entered into covenant, and Yahweh believed in covenants. It's all right. But I tell you what I can do. I can separate myself from you. I can separate all the substance and the things that I've given you. I can put my hand over those things and diminish them. Go ahead.
Their quiver is an open sepulchre, and they are all mighty men. And they shall eat up your harvest and your bread, which your sons and your daughters should eat. They shall eat up your flocks and your herds. They shall eat up your vines and your fig trees. They shall impoverish your fenced cities, wherein you trusted with the sword. Nevertheless, in those days, says Yahweh, I'll not make a full end with you.
Even though he's angry, he will not make a full end. Go ahead.
And it shall come to pass, when you shall say, wherefore does Yahweh our Elohim all these things unto us? Then shall you answer them, like as you have forsaken me, and serve strange gods in your land, so shall you serve strangers in a land that is not yours.
Right. See, what we're having to live through is our own just desserts. This is what you put out. This is what's coming back to you. Go ahead.
Declare this in the house of Jacob, and publish it in Yehudah, saying, hear now this, O foolish people, and without understanding, which have eyes and see not, which have ears and hear not. Fear you not me, says Yahweh? Will you not tremble at my presence, which have placed the sand for the bound of the sea by a perpetual decree, that it cannot pass it? And though the waves thereof toss themselves, yet can they not prevail. Though they roar, yet can they not pass over it. But this people has a revolting and a rebellious heart. They are revolted and gone.
This is something that you have to understand. He's talking about Israel. We always talking about something and trying to deal with other nations. He said, this people has a revolting and rebellious heart. He ain't talking about strangers. Go ahead.
Neither say they in their heart, let us now fear Yahweh our Elohim, that gives rain, both the former and the latter, in his season. He reserves unto us the appointed weeks of the harvest. Your lawlessness have turned away these things, and your sins have withholden good things from you. For among my people are found wicked men. They lay wait as he that sets snares. They set a trap, they catch men. As a cage is full of birds, so are their houses full of deceit. Therefore they are become great and waxen rich. They are waxen fat, they shine. Yes, they overpass the deeds of the wicked. They judge not the cause of the fatherless, yet they prosper. And the right of the needy do they not judge?
Right. See, Yahweh is holding us accountable for these things that have been done. You don't judge these causes? Go ahead.
Shall I not visit for these things, says Yahweh? Shall not my soul be avenged on such a nation as this? A wonderful and horrible thing is committed in the land. The prophets prophesy falsely, and the priests bear rule by their means. and my people love to have it so. And what will you do in the end thereof?
Right. Our people, it says the prophets prophesy falsely and the priests bear rule by their means, not according to the means that are written in the book. And my people love to have it so. Why? Because what Israel does, if you go and tell Israel how great they are and how prosperous they're going to be, they're going to pay you to make sure you keep saying that kind of stuff. Start telling Israel how they need to change, and now Israel got a problem with you. But when you think about all of these things that Yahweh said he's bringing upon his people because of our disobedience, you have to look at just the nature of the kingdoms that Yahweh has placed us in. You know, we had went to one of these like little nature preserve things that you drive through, and the animals all walking, and you know some of them, they come right up to your car. And it was like, you can drive your car, you can ride a bus. I'm like, I don't want no buffalo on my car. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? We gonna drive y'all car, so that way if a horn hit it, then we ain't no problem. We just seeing some of these things, you start to understand why. We was laughing about. We said, damn, I see why the Indians call us buffalo soldiers, cause you see that the buffalo got an afro. When the buffalo stick his head in there. But then understanding how these people did some things. They had this buffalo nickel, right? That America has put out. When you understand the things of what they have done, you don't really understand just how foul it is. They then put liberty in front of the face of the Indian. And they took all his land and basically put him in a prison that they call basically it was an enclosure. These people are used to riding, so they put them on this preservation or this whatever they want to call this thing. All right, you gonna stay here? No. You destroyed these people because they are accustomed to moving about. Right. What's even more foul is we know that the buffalo or the bison, it almost became extinct. Mm-hmm. Understand something. This was their way. They couldn't kill the Indians. They killed off the buffalo because the buffalo was what they ate and used to sustain themselves. These people were so brutal. They killed off the buffalo to starve the Indians out. That's what brought the Indians under control. That's why we don't have any buffalo. Not because they said, the buffalo became extinct. They started paying people. That was where the name Buffalo Bill came from, because he killed so many buffalo. They just gave them money. They wouldn't eat them. They would just get in the train and just shoot the buffalo, just kill them, because they know the Indians moved with the buffalo. That was how they were continuing to live. So they came up with a scheme. Look, if we kill the buffalo, we kill the Indians. That's how they ultimately got rid of the Native Americans. Then, now, what you're looking at is the foulest part of it. Then they make a coin to commemorate their evil. They put an Indian on one side and the buffalo on the other side. We killed the buffalo to kill the Indian. Then exchange coins with the images of their deceit. So Yahweh said, look, I don't have to do nothing to you. You don't want to follow my house rules. What I'm going to do is remove this hedge of protection, and I'm going to let these people, because this is just what they do. Why do you think the conversation was had with Lucifer? It was very short between him and Yahweh. Have you considered my servant? He didn't have to ask him, what you been doing? Walking up and down in the earth, to and fro, Right. Have you considered? That's all he had to do, because he know what they do. So when we get out of line, Yahweh don't have to manufacture evil for you. All he has to do is remove his hedge of protection. Evil is going to eventually see. What do you think happened when your neighbors realize that your car don't never come back home?
You know that blue car that normally come here? He's in that blue car in 2 weeks. I seen him carry this big old flat screen TV box in there one day. I wonder if he took it with him in that blue car wherever he went. I must investigate.
Right. He take away the protection. The evil coming. He don't have to call evil. He ain't got to convince evil. All he got to do is take away that hedge of protection, and evil gonna wonder.
Hey man, I'm telling you, there used to be somebody come here all the time and I don't see no movement. We need to go investigate.
What Lucifer wanted? All you gotta do is remove the hedge. I take care of everything else. I promise you I'm gonna make him curse you. Just remove that hedge. So when we get beside ourselves to the point where we don't remember how we got here, when we don't remember all of a sudden we are holier than thou, he said, okay, let me remind you of your past. I ain't got to do nothing. All I'm going to do is take this hedge, and evil going to smell the removal.
I don't smell no hedge right there. It was a lot of greenery here before.
Some bushes missing. Right. And they are on their way. But we suffered some of the same things here in this land. And when you get right down to it, just as they put that Indian on that money, they put the image of us picking cotton on their Confederate money. It was to commemorate their evil and their triumph. And in case y'all don't know, today is Confederate Memorial Day. They having a little thing to do down in Stone Mountain, which they have it all the time, but they blocked the one last year, but they used COVID as the reason to block it. They said we can't even lawfully block them from having their thing today, this year, because they use COVID. Stone Mountain is an official Confederate monument place. Every street on it named after Confederate soldiers. So there's a reason why the Confederates are carved in the mountain. Our problem is we don't remember that. There was a time that we're sitting comfortable right here in Stone Mountain. In the early days, couple decades before, we would not be sitting here. Because believe you me, a redneck possibly done came out, hey, did you lose something? I noticed I saw about 4 or 5 Negroes coming in the door. They had KKK rallies right down the street. And the images of their soldiers are carved in the mountain. So it was a time you wasn't hanging around no Stone Mountain, bro. Something was going mysteriously happen to you. So if you had some work to do, there were certain areas you did that work, and the people who you worked for knew. We better make sure he's out of there before dark comes. They knew. They would have workers that mysteriously wouldn't show up to work tomorrow if they worked too late in certain areas. Those kind of things happen up in Forsyth County on the regular. Even the Gentiles, especially the Gentiles who liked you, they'd be like, look, you look up and the Gentile helping you work. Like, what? You helping me? Hell yeah, because I don't want to be around here when there's other people come and the nightfall come and you still here. Because they going to do something to you, boy. So hurry up. Where'd this blue thing go? Come on, let me help you. I'm going to help you get out of here. Because if they come here and find you here, they're going to have some problem with me too. But see, a lot of us have forgotten how we got here. So you got some people that's going to go to Stone Mountain. Yeah, man, we finna clash with them. Why? That's a Confederate monument. We forget that when we go to Stone Mountain Park. We say, oh, it's so beautiful. It is. But why you going to go fight them people at their monument? every street named after General Lee, General this, somebody this. Why are you going up there? Look, they let you go to the park. All right? Go to the park and enjoy yourself and leave them damn folk alone. You done forgot how you got here. You know how many of us they could have hung in Stone Mountain? You know how many acres that is? Man, go over there and enjoy yourself. And don't be over there trying to get them people to take, I think y'all need to take General Lee off the mountain. I don't think General Lee need to come off that mountain. He needs to stay right there where he at. He my hero too. Because he was so ignorant, he got most of them killed. And that's why they didn't win. That's why he my hero. Now, they might be celebrating for one thing. I'm celebrating for a whole nother thing. They like, woo, General Lee. I'm right with him. Woo, General Lee. Woo, stupid idiot. Kill most of y'all running up a hill that didn't matter at all. Woo, General Lee. But leave them folk alone. And we don't even do our stuff right. The Gentiles is going up there to go and do they Sons of Confederate March, they got a permit. Us who gonna go up there to start mess, we ain't got no permit. Guess who going to jail? Boy, I tell you would think y'all would learn. Tell your cousins to stay at home. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 6.
Deuteronomy chapter 6 and verse 1. Now these are the commandments, the statutes and judgments which Yahweh your El commanded to teach you, that you might do them in the land whether you go to possess it, that you might fear Yahweh your El, to keep all his statutes and his commandments, which I command you, you and your sons and your sons' sons, all the days of your life, and that your days may be prolonged. Hear therefore, O Israel, and observe to do it, that it may be well with you, and that you may increase mightily, as Yahweh Elohim of your fathers has promised you, in the land that flows with milk and honey. Hear, O Israel, Yahweh our Elohim is one Yahweh. And you shall love Yahweh your Elohim with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your might.
So now these are the parts of the covenant that Yahweh expected from his spouse in the beginning. And because now we've gotten beside ourselves, now we try to renegotiate the very contract that we agreed to. Go ahead.
And these words which I command you this day shall be in your heart, and you shall teach them diligently unto your children.
That's a commandment. That's part of the covenant. Part of the covenant is you supposed to teach this unto your children. He didn't care if your kids live in one house and you live in the other. Did you read any other kind of stipulation? You may teach these to your children unless they don't live with you. That verse missing because I ain't read that. Go ahead.
And shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up.
So all these things, these are supposed to be conversations that you're having with your children. So if they're not in any way where they're hearing the word, then they need to hear the word coming out of your mouth. My elder, I don't care what you was talking about. Somehow it went back to the word. You can be having a conversation about the video game Grand Theft Auto. Y'all were like, that Grand Theft Auto remind me of Yahweh. Look here. Now see, the way it works, I'll be like, how the hell we get to this from Grand Theft Auto? He found I don't care what it was going to be a teachable moment, one way or another. You can bring up a conversation about the most god-awful thing. He'll talk about that most god-awful thing with you for about 5 minutes, and sooner or later, it's floating right back into this word. I don't care what it was. Go ahead, bro.
And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. And you shall write them upon the posts of your house and on your gates. And it shall be, when Yahweh your El shall have brought you into the land which he sware unto your fathers, to Abraham, to Esaac, and to Jacob, to give you great and goodly cities, which you built not, and houses full of all good things, which you filled not, and wells digged, which you diggeth not.
Right. You're going to inherit all of these things that you didn't provide. But he also knows that sooner or later you're going to get beside yourself. See? I'm going to fix your house. I'm going to do all of these things. But then you're going to start to forget about me. When you get all these things that you desire, you're going to forget from whence you came. Go ahead.
Vineyards and olive trees, which you planted not, when you shall have eaten and be full.
So he knew exactly when it was going to come. Go ahead.
Then beware lest you forget Yahweh, which brought you forth out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage. You shall fear Yahweh your Elohim, and serve him, and shall swear by his name. You shall not go after other gods, of the gods of the people which are round about you.
Right, and provoke his jealousy. Go ahead.
For Yahweh your Elohim is a jealous Elohim among you, lest the anger of Yahweh your Elohim be kindled against you, and destroy you from off the face of the earth.
Once again, in one verse, we still hear jealousy and anger. Just like what we heard the prophet talk about. So when the prophet is talking, he's getting his concepts from the law of his Elohim. He ain't just talking. So when Yahweh give him something, he know where the basis of that conversation is coming from. It's coming from the base part of his law. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 3. Isaiah chapter 3, and let's start that at verse 16.
Moreover, Yahweh saith, because the daughters of Zion are haughty, and walk with stretched forth necks and wanting eyes, walking and mincing as they go, and making a tinkling with their feet, therefore the Adonai will smite the scab of the crown of the head of the daughters of Zion, and Yahweh will discover their secret parts.
And just like my brother said the other day, we have to deal with things that our forefathers didn't have to deal with. It was clothing that we see now. When you talk about discovering secret parts, our forefathers wouldn't even known any clothing like this. Our forefathers would be surprised. Hell, men didn't even wear no clothes that damn tight. They would be looking at all us strange. Your men and your women strange around here. Go ahead.
In that day the Adonai will take away the bravery of their tinkling ornaments about their feet, and their cowls, and their round tires like the moon, the chains and the bracelets and the mufflers, the bonnets and the ornaments of the legs, and the headbands and the tablets and the earrings, the rings and nose jewels, the changeable suits of apparel, and the mantles and the wimples and the crisping pins, the glasses and the fine linen, and the hoods and the veils. And it shall come to pass that instead of sweet smell there shall be stink, and instead of a girdle a rent, and instead of well set hair baldness, and instead of a stomacher a girding of sackcloth, and burning instead of beauty.
Right. And when Yahweh start making baldness, guarantee you it's gonna be more head coverings than you can shake a stick at. Folks say, oh, I ain't covering my head. Let a bald spot come in. But well, you got some of the prettiest head covering. Yes, I know, girl. Right. That's gonna take care of that. Go ahead.
You know, verse 20, you look at what they were talking about then, and we look at now. The tablets then and the tablets now.
I know, right? You still got them rings and nose jewels. Them ain't changed. Go ahead.
Verse 25, your men shall fall by the sword, and your mighty men in the war. And her gates shall lament and mourn, and she being desolate shall sit upon the ground. And in that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by your name, to take away our reproach.
We will eat our own bread, meaning that they're going to get to a place whereby they're going to provide for themselves. All I need is your name. I don't need you to pay no bill. I don't need you to take care of nothing. Do understand, we're not there yet. Go ahead.
In that day shall the branch of Yahweh be beautiful and glorious, and the fruit of the earth shall be excellent and comely for them that are escaped of Israel. And it shall come to pass that he that is left in Zion and he that remains in Jerusalem shall be called holy.
He that is left. This lets you know how much of a remnant is going to be brought through. He that is left. Go ahead.
Even every one that is written among the living in Jerusalem. When the Adonai shall have washed away the filth of the daughters of Zion, and shall have purged the blood of Jerusalem from the midst thereof by the spirit of judgment and by the spirit of burning.
All right, let's go to chapter 13. Isaiah chapter 13, and we're going to read verses 9 through 12.
Verse 9. Behold, the day of Yahweh comes, cruel both with wrath and fierce anger, to lay the land desolate, and he shall destroy the sinners thereof out of it. For the stars of heaven and the constellations thereof shall not give their light. The sun shall be darkened in his going forth, and the moon shall not cause her light to shine. And I'll punish the world for their evil, and the wicked for their lawlessness. And I'll cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease, and will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible. I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir.
Right. And if he's making man more precious, that means it's going to be a lot of men that's going to die. When you talk about making the value of something go up, that's simple. Supply and demand. That's real easy to figure out. What happened? A couple shots get fired off, and now all of a sudden, gas done shot up, right? Supply and demand. So when you make something more precious, that means, hey, I'm going to take away a lot of them. That totally changes the game. Let's go to Hosea chapter 2.
9:22.
Appreciate it. And we're going to start that at verse 1.
Hosea chapter 2 and verse 1. Say you unto your brethren, Am I, and to your sisters, Rahuma, plead you with your mother, plead, for she is not my wife, neither am I her husband. Let her therefore put away her whoredoms out of her sight, and her adulteries from between her breasts. Lest I strip her naked, and set her as in the day that she was born, and make her as a wilderness, and set her like a dry land, and slay her with thirst.
Right. But if you don't understand the beginning of how this came to be, then you don't really understand what Yahweh's talking about. Go ahead.
And I will not have mercy upon her children, for they be the children of whoredoms.
Right. The children are going to duplicate the things that they see you do. So if the children see you worshiping idols, they're going to worship the idols too. Go ahead.
For their mother has played the harlot. She that conceived them has done shamefully. For she said, I'll go after my lovers, that give me my bread and my water, my wool and my flax, mine oil and my drink. Therefore, behold, I will hedge up your way with thorns, and make a wall, that she shall not find her paths. And she shall follow after her lovers, but she shall not overtake them. And she shall seek them, but shall not find them. Then shall she say, I'll go and return to my first husband, for then was it better with me than now.
What did Yahweh say? You've gone unto many lovers, and yet you return unto me. So how you going to speak over here? Go ahead.
For she did not know that I gave her corn and wine and oil, and multiplied her silver and gold, which they prepared for Baal. Therefore will I return, and take away my corn in the time thereof, and my wine in the season thereof, and will recover my wool and my flax given to cover her nakedness. And now will I discover her lewdness in the sight of her lovers, and none shall deliver her out of mine hand. I will also cause all her mirth to cease, her feast days, her new moons, and her Sabbaths, and all her solemn feasts.
Right. As Yahweh has dealt with us in disciplining us as a people, he's the one that took away the opportunity to do all those things. So to believe that that is going to be where we're going to get our judgment is foolish. Are we supposed to remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy? Yes. But he also understands in certain situations how much of that we can and cannot do. Go ahead.
And I'll destroy her vines and her fig trees, whereof she had said, These are my rewards that my lovers have given me, and I'll make them a forest, and the beast of the field shall eat them. And I'll visit upon her the days of Baalim, when she burnt incense to them, and she decked herself with her earrings and her jewels, and she went after her lovers and forgot me, says Yahweh.
And forgot me, says Yahweh. She dressed herself up to go and deal with her lovers, yet she forgot me. So when we are going to present ourselves before Elohim, how do we dress? It is why I had to talk to these brothers about, hey man, we should be walking in culture. How is it that the sisters are coming in here in culture, and I look around and I saw a bunch of brothers with t-shirts on? That ain't gonna work. But Yahweh know how sharp you got when you was going out to Club Watusi. You went and got you a fresh outfit. Ironed it before time. It was hanging up and ready. Then went and got you some fresh 9-later gators. You was ready. Yahweh said you provoke him to jealousy. Why? Look at how dressed up you got to go and deal with her. Then you're going to come in my house and look like you just got through playing basketball? You come here with your gym clothes on? But look at what you did to go to that den of iniquity. You executing his jealousy and didn't even know it. Go ahead.
Think about the money spent on them Easter suits every year.
Oh, man. Oh, it was some bread spent on them Easter suits. You better believe that. That's the one time you knew you were getting some new stuff. That was when you can talk your mama into getting you a couple pair of shoes.
Well, I want these too. But, well, it is Easter.
Go ahead.
Therefore, behold, I'll allure her and bring her into the wilderness.
Okay.
And speak comfortably unto her.
Okay. Once again, this is why you have people that can't deal with situations correctly. Now, after Yahweh has gotten his wife to humble herself, now he will allure her, bring her into the wilderness, and speak comfortably unto her. Now Yahweh's speaking game to his wife. But not while she all haughty. Not while she all in her own dealings. But once she then remembers her youth and how this situation came to be, now he can speak comfortably unto her. If you speak comfortably before any of this is recognized, you have done your comfortable speaking in vain. Go ahead.
And I'll give her her vineyards from thence, and the valley of Achor for a door of hope, and she shall sing there, as in the days of her youth, and as in the day when she came up out of the land of Egypt. And it shall be at that day, says Yahweh, that you shall call me Ishai, and shall call me no more Baali.
Right. Now you're going to even call me an endearing term. See, now we're going to renew our love after you understand the covenant that we're supposed to be walking by. Go ahead.
You know, like you said, an enduring term. As you get into some relationships, I think we as brothers get too haughty and forget those enduring terms, especially if you've been subjected to a harsh environment for a long enough time, or around a person long enough time, it'll start affecting your own relationship.
Yeah, it will. It sure will. You'll forget all those things. Even in your own relationship, you'll forget those things because of other harsh things that you have encountered along the way. And forget that, hey, if we're not in that harsh situation, then I should return to how we were doing things before. Go ahead.
For I will take away the names of Baalim out of her mouth, and they shall no more be remembered by their name. And in that day will I make a covenant for them with the beast of the field, and with the fowls of heaven, and with the creeping things of the ground. And I'll break the bow and the sword and the battle out of the earth, and will make them to lie down safely.
And when you think about something like that, and in that day I will make a covenant for them with the beasts of the field. Understand, the beasts of the field not gonna bother you. When you have a dog and that dog done something wrong, and you start walking toward the dog will put his head down in shame. But that's your dog. Imagine lions and wolves doing that when you walk by. That goes up. Man. Then the lion look back up. Oh, he's still there. Now that's what you call some power. Go ahead.
And I'll betroth you unto me forever. Yes, I'll betroth you unto me in righteousness and in judgment and in loving kindness and in mercies. I'll even betroth you unto me in faithfulness, and you shall know Yahweh. And it shall come to pass in that day, I will hear, says Yahweh, I will hear the heavens, and they shall hear the earth. And the earth shall hear the corn, and the wine, and the oil, and they shall hear Yezreel. And I'll sow her unto me in the earth, and I'll have mercy upon her that had not obtained mercy. And I'll say to them which were not my people, you are my people. And they shall say, you are my Elohim.
All right. Let us hear the conclusion of this matter. Let's go to Psalm 69. Psalm 69, and we're going to start that at verse 1.
Psalm 69 and verse 1. Save me, O Elohim, for the waters are come in unto my soul. I sink in deep mire, where there is no standing. I am come into deep waters, where the floods overflow me. I am weary of my crying, my throat is dried, mine eyes fail, while I wait for my Elohim. They that hate me without a cause are more than the hairs of mine head. They that would destroy me, being mine enemies wrongfully, are mighty. Then I restored that which I took not away.
I restored that which I took not away. Go ahead.
O Elohim, you knoweth my foolishness, and my sins are not hid from you.
Do we understand that? Do we understand, as even though we hide things from men, that none of those things are hidden from Yahweh? And at any given point, depending on how we carry ourselves, he may turn around and let one of them things that he know you hiding jump right off on the table and dance right in front of you. Because, see, we dealing with it like, oh, well, this will never come to be, so I ain't got to worry about it. But then he looks at the way you carry yourself. You know what? This right here that you done threw up under the rug, we finna lift up this rug right here. Go ahead.
Let not them that wait on you, O Adonai Yahweh of hosts, be ashamed for my sake. Let not those that seek you be confounded for my sake, O Elohim of Israel. Because for your sake I have borne reproach. Shame has covered my face.
Because of your sake I have borne reproach. Because the disdain that they have for Yahweh falls upon his servants. Go ahead.
I am become a stranger unto my brethren, and an alien unto my mother's children. For the zeal of your house has eaten me up.
Now understand something. He is dealing with the situations that will befall Yahshua. The zeal of your house has eaten me up. He loves the house so much that he's doing all these things to make sure that it's taken care of. Go ahead.
And the reproaches of them that reproached you are fallen upon me.
Uzziah, wake that brother up right there. Tell that brother he need to stay up in the middle of the night.
When I wept and chastened my soul with fasting, that was to my reproach. I made sackcloth also my garment, and I became a proverb to them. They that sit in the gate speak against me, and I was the song of the drunkards.
I was the song of the drunkards. Go ahead.
But as for me, my prayers on to you, O Yahweh, in an acceptable time. O Elohim, in the multitude of your mercy, hear me, in the truth of your salvation. Deliver me out of the mire, and let me not sink. Let me be delivered from them that hate me, and out of the deep waters. Let not the water flood overflow me, neither let the deep swallow me up, and let not the pit shut her mouth upon me. Hear me, O Yahweh, for your loving kindness is good. Turn on to me according to the multitude of your tender mercies.
Right. We don't want Yahweh to deal with us in this so high displeasure, because we know that Yahweh feels jealousy and he feels anger. He has wrath, which is great anger. We don't want that to be turned upon us. Go ahead.
And hide not your face from your servant, for I am in trouble. Hear me speedily. Draw near unto my soul and redeem it. Deliver me because of mine enemies. You have known my reproach and my shame and my dishonor. Mine adversaries are all before you. Reproach has broken my heart, and I am full of heaviness. And I looked for some to take pity, but there was none, and for comforters, but I found none. They gave me also gall for my meat, and in my thirst they gave me vinegar to drink.
Right. Understand, these are the things Yeshua had to go through. Understand, he out in the hot sun as they are torturing him, and then give him vinegar to drink. I want you to run down Rockbridge Road and come back. Which one of y'all gonna come in here and get a cold cup of vinegar? Who in the hell drinks that when they thirsty? Go ahead.
Let their table become a snare before them, and that which would have been for their welfare, let it become a trap. Let their eyes be darkened, that they see not, and make their loins continually to shake. Pour out your indignation upon them, and let your wrathful anger take hold of them. Let their habitation be desolate, and let none dwell in their tents. For they persecute him whom you have smitten, and they talk to the grief of those whom you have wounded. Add lawlessness unto their lawlessness, and let them not come into your righteousness. Let them be blotted out of the book of the living, and not be written with the righteous. But I am poor and sorrowful. Let your salvation, O Elohim, set me up on high. I will praise the name of Elohim with a song, and will magnify him with thanksgiving. This also shall please Yahweh better than an ox or bullock that has horns and hoofs.
Yes, verse 30. I will praise the name of Elohim with a song, and will magnify him with thanksgiving. This also shall please Yahweh better than an ox or a bullock. This was during the time of sacrifices. We can clearly see that now, but how is it that Dawid was able to see that even during the time that offerings are being offered? Go ahead.
The humble shall see this, and be glad, and your heart shall live that seek Elohim. For Yahweh hears the poor, and despises not his prisoners. Let the heaven and earth praise him, the seas and everything that moves therein. For Elohim will save Zion, and will build the cities of Yehuda, that they may dwell there, and have it in possession. The seed also of his servants shall inherit it, and they that love his name shall dwell therein.
All right. That is all that we're going to do for today. Remember, we have new moon tonight. So please govern yourselves accordingly. That's all that we're going to do for today. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.